everyone. We're back live. Whew, we got through the first session, and Eva was great. Her work was beautiful. And we're back to back today. We're like 5-minute transition. We're jumping with Rob right now. Rob, who's joining us from lovely Germany, where not very far from where I am, actually. We're both based in Munich. And you're a very familiar face of Adobe Live, let's say, as an educator and just teacher on our channels all year round. So I'll let you introduce yourself. I think there are people who are very new to who you are.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's a true privilege. I'm super excited, almost walking around like a giddy kid here in Barcelona. It's my first time in Barcelona, first time at OFF, and I'm just so thrilled to be here, and I'm very happy to be here and have this opportunity. So, my name is Robert Hranitzky, and I do work as a creative out of my little studio in Munich, doing mostly motion graphic stuff that you can see here in the background. It's a lot of commercial stuff for different clients, some bigger clients, some smaller clients, but really anything that makes me happy as a creative. It's mostly motion work. Sometimes it's also for films and TV shows. A little bit of VFX work, a little bit of titles work, which I like personally the most.
Yep.
Because it mixes my passion for motion graphics with my passion for film, as well as my love for design and typography.
Yep.
So I would love to make more on that behalf, but it's not that easy to get title design projects. But when I get one, I'm even more happy to do that. So that's what I do. And besides of all the creative work, I love sharing experiences and knowledge and everything that I have learned over my 20 years of working as or actually over 20 years working as a creative, that I like to give back to people like you watching at your computer, being inspired or wanting to get new tips and tricks, inspiration from other creatives like us. So I'm happy to share anything that I can with the creative community.
I love that, and that's exactly why you've been on Adobe Live as well. I think a lot of our audience, regular audience, loves watching you work and share your tips and tricks. So you just arrived in Barcelona, as you said, very excited about OFF. What are you just excited about in general about the next 3 days? Any talks that you want to attend?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's a beautiful city. I've seen most of it by night, last night, so not too much by day. So I love life, just like the energy, the culture, everything is just so amazing. In terms of OFF, the venue is really nice. I've seen a couple of booths. Everything is so inspiring, creative. I really take some time. I saw the amazing launch film from Framestore. The titles.
I could just hear from the back in the previous session.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. He had a great talk. I saw my friend Gavin Strange, the start of it at least, bumped into him. Super creative guy working at Artman. If you can check out his work, check that out. I'm looking forward to seeing Ash Thorpe's talk on Saturday. He's a huge inspiration of mine. And basically, like, way too many talks that I can mention here, but there's just so much to see, so yeah.
Awesome. And you have a masterclass. We didn't even really talk about this that you're looking forward to in terms of
well, I'm looking forward, of course, of course, well, I can't say I'm looking forward to seeing my own talk, no.
To my own sharing.
Yes, I have the privilege to give a masterclass here on Saturday, which will be covering the blockbuster look and how to create that with After Effects, and I use some of my passion project work to cover some of the techniques in that and how to basically do these things in After Effects.
I guess we just have to show some of your work now. Like we pitched it and we've been selling it, and let's just share it.
So I've spent a good amount of my free time in the last 5 years, counting down to last year, to work on a passion project, which is a personal project. It's a Star Wars fan film. It's called E11. And it basically looks like this. So it's a funny story about a stormtrooper that actually is a reviewer in his universe, doing product reviews as we do reviews for tech stuff, and software, and do tips and tricks. He's doing that in his realm of the Empire. So I tried to make it look as good as possible, as Star Warsy as possible. Everything was done in Cinema 4D and After Effects. So you can see the look. I tried to be very accurate to it. And again, I will be covering a lot of the techniques in my masterclass on Saturday, which will be recorded. So I don't know when it's going to be available, hopefully soon. And I'm not going to show the full film. It's 8 minutes, but I'll share the link afterward. But I can show you the URL and the QR code to watch it. It's free to watch for everyone on YouTube. But I'll share the visual effects reel, which is about 3 minutes long, and it shows a little bit of the breakdowns and how the effects were created.
Yep.
Just to give you an idea of what was done in that crazy
for sure.
project.
Shuttle 209 approaching with a classified delivery, requesting landing permission. Copy that, Shuttle 209, you're cleared to land at Bay 78. TK421, I have a classified delivery for you. I'm TK421.
Ready for command.
I've got this.
So yeah.
Well, I hope everyone enjoyed that at home. Like, I have been involved in like early days when you were mentioning the project and how excited you were. I know how long you worked on it, which is incredible.
Yeah.
How does it feel, or how did it feel when you put it out there and into the world and saw all this traction and reaction?
Oh, it was super rewarding because I made this film not necessarily just for myself, but for the audience and for people, for one, to be inspired.
Yeah.
To see that what can be done with just basic household tools, like basic software and basic machines. So there's not like a huge render farm behind it, and it's off-the-shelf software, mainly After Effects, Cinema 4D, Substance Painter, a little bit of Photoshop, Illustrator, and so on. So all these tools, but it's like the vision and I would say the energy that you want to pour into it to create, and the reactions of people saying like, this made me laugh, or this got me inspired. This is the best compliment that you can get.
Yeah.
So I truly hope it will continue to have some traction. It gathered about 1.5 million views, which is crazy. Could have not imagined it, to be honest, really. And there's more coming. There's more in production, which is a little bit crazy, I know. We shot a couple of shots already, so there's a lot that has been filmed already that will be in post-production soon.
Yep.
But sometimes I also have to do just normal commercial work to pay the bills, right?
Yep.
But yeah, it's still a fun process. And the joy of doing a passion project is actually, the best part is you can do something where there's no client, there's no deadline.
Yeah.
You can just use it as a playing field to try new tools, new workflows, work with new people. And that's the best thing to basically evolve as an artist, right? Because in a commercial environment where you have a tough deadline, where you have different hierarchies of making sure that everyone is happy, it's difficult to try out new tools and toys. And so that's why choose your own personal project, your passion project. Doesn't have to be Star Wars related.
Yep.
And work on it to raise your own level of creativity and work.
Totally. And I think a huge benefit of what you did here as well is that you were allowed and you were able to connect with people. I think you always mention, hey, I met this person at a conference, or I met this thanks to 11. And I think that just really blew up in terms of not just network, but friends as well who are in the industry, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's also a benefit. I mean, as I cannot monetize the film, I paid everything out of my own pockets. The actual payment is being able to meet new people, being able to go to venues, share my work, which in essence is also sometimes even more worth than actually getting money for it, right? Because you get to grow as an artist, which is a great thing.
Yeah, totally agree. Should we go through some of the other projects? I know you work a lot with Wacom and a bunch of famous names out there.
Yeah, so a good portion of last year's work was spent on working together with Wacom, which is a longtime partner and client of mine that I really appreciate. I've been using their products for probably longer than I've used, for example, Photoshop, right?
Yeah.
So I've started using Wacom products back when I was in school, so that was 20...
Don't say it.
25 years ago. Yeah, so that's long time.
Yeah.
So I've always been a tablet user. So I genuinely, intrinsically love their products. So I have the huge pleasure of working with them whenever they release a new product to create the product trailer around that. I'm a big advocate of using their products, no matter if it's with Photoshop or After Effects or Substance Painter. So I had the honor of creating the new launch trailer for the new Cintiq Pro. So I gathered a team around myself to work on that, because as you say, it's better to have more smarter people around you to work with it. So I was directing the commercial, but I had a couple of friends and colleagues that helped me work on it. I would love to share it with you. It's just 1 minute long, but here goes the trailer. So yeah, that was big fun. I can go through some of the
Keep going,
development
please.
process. So first of all, a big shout out and credits to whoever helped me with this. Namely, it was Max, who was lead of 3D, Glenn Southern, who contributed the alien artwork for that, Simon Fiedler, who worked together with us to create all the beautiful line work. Can Erduman, he created the rig for the animated hand and animated the hand as well. And of course, Peter E.C. Rice, who I also worked together with on the Star Wars fan film, who is a fantastic musician and sound designer, and he created the beautiful soundtrack for that. So we started off with the idea of showing lines and flow lines to give the impression of, okay, high-tech, as well as like an organic, aesthetic look. So Simon came up with a couple of fantastic ideas of how we could visualize this line world and shapes that basically are like, okay, so whenever if you hit the surface with a pen, then creativity flows out. So we tried to visualize that. It was a little bit too much. We wanted to have a bit more focus on the product itself. So we played around with having the lines illuminate the product. So these are a couple of frames that Max and I created. Using the line work as light, basically.
Yep.
And this is like the animatic, which shows you the rough and gritty work without any light, without any textures. This is the animatic pre-process work that we do, that we send off to the client to get feedback. Is this what you're looking for? How is the pacing? How is the framing and everything?
Nice.
So just a couple of, it's like an exploratory work. And then we knew we wanted to have content on the screen. And so I went to my friend Glenn Southern, who actually also worked on the Pinocchio movie. So he's a fantastic artist in the UK. The brief was create an alien that it doesn't look too intimidating. So he had the idea of creating a mom and a calf as a sea creature, because he's a diver and is very inspired by the underwater world. So he created that using ZBrush. Wow. So he's basically sculpting that from scratch and creating these alien characters that we then used on the surface of the tablet, basically hugging, being underwater, and this is pretty much the final outcome and the final image that we used for that. And last but not least, there should also be like a visual effects shot that features something visual effecty. So I thought, let's go with a spaceship.
Visual effecty, I love that.
Yeah. So
mantra for for off.
Yeah, of course. So so let's go into that. So I basically created this scene. So this is actually an Adobe stock background that I licensed, and a 3D model of a spaceship, and it's just flying through the clouds, quickly animated, all done in After Effects on this side, which is then playing back on the tablet as content to visualize. This can be used for whatever creative work that you want to use. So that's
awesome.
That's about it.
Amazing. You ran through that, like just all of your work, and I know you do so much more. I mean, you have a studio set up with Max, who was on screen there in the credits, and you often kind of just really enjoyed that space. I know you went back into the studio as well and tried to like have in-person connection as a team.
Yeah.
How has it been during like the pandemic and picking up again, going to conferences? I know last year as well you've been out at quite a few. How is that for you?
Well, to be honest, I mean, I love teaching and sharing work, but also seeing work.
Yeah.
But the actual stuff that we are doing right now, right here for your audience online, is fantastic. But the difference and the magic moments that actually are happening in person.
Yep.
Right? It's basically what you have here is just the pure information of how was this done, how was that done, maybe a little bit of tips and tricks and techniques.
Yep.
But the actual thing that the interhuman connections that happen when you bump into someone that is creative, when you bump into someone that you look up to, that you can ask the questions that you wouldn't ask on Twitter, on Instagram, or on email, but actually enjoying being in the same room as this person is actually really, really nice. And you can't just have this online, unfortunately. No matter if it's the metaverse or if it's whatever stream. And I think that's the joy of being on site at an event, where you can actually share your passion for creations and yeah,
I
creativity.
know you always come back so energized, like, oh, Emma, I met this person at the
Yeah.
conference, and you should
Yeah, yeah.
receive them Adobe Live because we're streaming like a lot more than just like
Right.
being at it
Right.
off. And you're always sending through some names and people that you scouted and found out, which is awesome. I know you're really talking about After Effects a lot because you have the masterclass coming up, and that's what you're also often teaching on Adobe Live. But what are the tools that you've been experimenting with? Because I heard a little bit about Substance and other things that you work with, and
Yeah, exactly.
the last years.
That's a good question. Well, I mean, After Effects is my go-to tool for a lot of things. That's where I feel most comfortable with. Started out with Photoshop, so that used to be my first creative tool that I learned. But After Effects very much like Photoshop, just with layers in the timeline.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop there. I've been using Cinema 4D for a long time, so I'm still learning that. I mean, it's a continuous process. You're never there. Same with After Effects. Like you can't say like, I know it all, because even if you know which buttons to push, you still have to learn, what makes a better picture, a better animation, and that is regardless of the tool. But nevertheless, you still have to learn tools to move forward. And one of the tools that are pretty new in my scenario is the Substance suite, consisting of Painter, mainly for me as a 3D artist, as a motion design artist, and that's. I learned it. I started learning the tool in 2021, so about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's been the most fun software-related experience in years, because it gives you instant feedback, and you can iterate so quickly in 3D.
Yeah.
And I was so blown away by the fun part of it. And I'm still learning it. It seems like an endless playground.
Yeah.
I want to try the new capture method, where you can use different photos to do photogrammetry, to scan in your whatever object to put it into 3D.
Your excitement is just so good on this.
Yeah.
I'm glad I asked.
and then all with I told you yesterday about the new ACES workflow in After Effects. Basically, we have about 3 minutes left.
I think a minute, but we'll make it.
A minute, even 1 hour wouldn't be enough to cover like the ACES process.
We'll do after hours.
But ACES will also be a part of my masterclass, which is like just a larger color gamut. It's basically allows you to work in a more natural way of how colors and light is displayed, but also calculated within the project. So that's something where I'm looking at, which is quite complicated, but very intriguing and interesting to see where you can take your projects with this.
I think if you are watching this right now, you'll feel inspired to try something out, whether that's Substance or After Effects. But Rob, that went by super fast. Thanks so much for joining.
Thank you so much
good luck for your masterclass.
Yep.
We're still going to be on. We're on until 6 p.m. later on. We have Baya just coming up now. And then we'll have Craig Black, who's going to be joining for portfolio reviews. So see you in 5 minutes. We'll be right there.
Thank you for joining.
Thanks, Rob.